what you gonna do, Yacht Dollar, on Crypto Bull God and his crypto maniacs and the entire cryptocurrency market run wild on you?
Welcome in. I am the Crypto Bull God, and in today's video, the family. This video is dedicated to my family who is in the market, and this family will be the cream of the crop, and we will be rising to the absolute top. Welcome in. I am the Crypto Bull God, and this is the recorded on Sunday, airing on Sunday, July 25th, 2021 Crypto Bull God podcast. You can find me on Twitter, TradingView, and YouTube at Crypto Bull God. So I think this is the first time, it's definitely the first time I've done a podcast where I had a little bit of some video footage in there from my trip home. You know, I've said time and time again, at some point when I have some time and I can prioritize it, this really is, at the moment, at least the way I see it, my personal podcast. I think it's just going to be an audio thing. I enjoy going on and doing the TA videos and having the camera on so you can see me. It's a little bit more of a personal approach. But for the podcast, you know, I like keeping this audio, and I've been saying now for a while that this eventually will get put on other platforms when I have more time. But for now, I've always advertised this podcast as audio only on YouTube. So technically, I violated that the earlier comments I've made, because there was a little video segment on there. I had a really nice trip home. You know, July's been a little hectic month for me personally, just because work. You know, I'm still working the 9 to 5, and you know, work's been very, very busy. There's a lot of stuff going on in the actuarial science world. A lot of fun things and fun topics surrounding life, mortality, and COVID. So, and speaking of the word I can't say or I could get in trouble, speaking of that, I have not been home since all of that craziness took place. The last time I was home was Christmas of 2019. So I have not seen my family in 19 months. So just over a year and a half. And I have a pretty small family. I'm laughing because I know I've met a lot of people, a lot of Hispanics. I've met a lot of Hispanics since being down in South Florida from all over different countries, and Hispanics tend to have very large families, and I'm thinking of someone in particular who seems to have a family in every single state. A new state will pop up. Oh, yeah, I have family there. Oh, okay. I can't keep track of this. But anyway, I have a super small family, and so when I went home, you know, I spent a good deal of time with my mom and dad, and I spent a lot of time with, not as much time as I would have liked, but some time with my brother and sister-in-law. I mean, it's kind of hard because my brother started a new job very recently. He didn't have the vacation time to take off, so it kind of sucked because he's got a little bit of a commute, and I get it. But I did not get to see him or my sister-in-law as much as I would have liked. But I did spend quite a bit of time with my mom and dad. It's pretty cool because you can see in the video there, that deck that we're out on in their backyard. My mom does an awesome job. I think certain things, as you get older in life, you appreciate things a lot more. You appreciate different things in life. It's just called evolution as a human being. And so when I come home and I see all the gardening work that my mom, landscaping work, my mom is really the creator and innovator behind, or even just the inside of the house. She's just a very creative. She has a very good eye for decor, home decor, and decorations. I mean, she's done an outstanding job in the backyard. It looks beautiful with all the flowers. And my parents just had a brand new deck that was built, and it's really nice. It's covered. It has a huge ceiling fan, which at some point in conversation I called it a windmill. I remember that. For some reason I called it a windmill. Don't know where that came from. But we had a great time. We had several girl outs. My mom was pretty happy because she put me. Well, I self-appointed myself, and my father just kind of gave in and accepted it. But when you enter, let me just say this: when you enter another man's house, and they have a grill, it's like this unspoken thing that it's that guy's grill. Like, you don't invade that space. Like, it's that guy's grill. Let him do his thing. And you don't invade that territory, right? Well, my dad was kind enough to relinquish his duties and allow me to grill, which I think my mom was pretty happy about, because my father, we all have our talents, right? We all got our talents. My dad's talent is making sure that food gets done. And I'll leave it at that. So anyway, I had a really nice trip home. I hope everybody's July is finishing off in a nice way for you. We're in the third quarter of this year, and my current expectation and things, that I'm sharing with you are the same things I share with my family. There's really no difference in terms of my perspective. My current perspective on the markets is, during this third quarter, this July, August, and even September timeframe, I think my current view is that Bitcoin needs to sort of reestablish itself, gain firm footing, build some bullish structure, consolidate, begin building, it has been consolidating, but begin to build basically market structure for what I'm fully anticipating to culminate in a blow-off euphoric top in the fourth quarter of this year. So we need to begin to build higher highs and higher lows. And I think that's what we're in the midst of right now. Of course, I put out a few charts very recently. I'm very happy, as much as I loved going home, and I had a really nice trip. I did. And I also met up with a friend who I hadn't seen in like 20 years, which was pretty crazy. So it was nice. It was really nice to catch up and see that she was doing well. But as much as I enjoyed my trip home, I can tell I have a true passion for everything that I do and everything I do in the cryptocurrency space. And even though right now, although at some point that will change, even though right now I just don't have the time to commit as much time to podcasts and TA videos and even Twitter, I try to do as much as I can because I have a genuine passion for it, and I really am looking to help other people out, and I hope they find value in my content. And so, it was closing in on, actually I was several days out towards the end of my trip, and I was saying that, I might have actually tweeted this out, but basically I was just really anxious to get back here and get back in front of my desktop and start charting and putting out content on my YouTube channel. So here we are. So I did put out a couple charts Saturday and today on Sunday for Bitcoin. Right now, we do have a potential inverse head and shoulders pattern playing out. And I'm looking at the 12-hour. You can look at a 8-hour, you can look at a 6-hour, and I'm seeing the same thing. But on that smaller time frame, on the 12-hour, I'm seeing a valid, what looks like at the moment, a valid inverse head and shoulders. And if this pattern plays out, the technical target is somewhere around 40,000. Now, what you have to understand, and I explained this many times, in TA videos, and it's in my introduction video actually on YouTube, is, I'm providing you, the thing is I'm providing probabilistic statements regarding future price action, right? So the thing you need to understand about chart patterns, like an inverse head and shoulders, which is a bullish pattern, there's a reason that pattern exists. The reason the pattern exists is because historically, more times than not, but not 100%, more times than not, that pattern plays out a certain way. And in this case, it's a bullish way. That's how chart patterns come into existence. There are patterns that historically come up within charts, stock charts, crypto charts. And when these patterns are presented, there's a certain higher likelihood that you'll see movement in one direction versus the other. That should intuitively make sense, but it's never a guarantee. I'm not tweeting this out saying, hey, we have an inverse head and shoulders and we're definitely going to 40,000. No. And this is something that really irritates me, is when people will, I've gotten a little bit of this saltiness getting to the title of the podcast for this week, from salty to sweet, because we're going to very soon enter a period where you're going to see a lot less salty people and a lot more sweetness in the market. Oh, you're the best technician. Oh my God, your calls are the best. Oh, you were right on. Right now, it's like death and despair. It's starting to ease up a bit. I've gotten that sense, but that's why the title of this podcast is strategically placed as such, from salty to sweet, because we are going to, you'll see a shift in the market in the not too distant future here, where people are going to start to be a lot less salty and a lot more sweet. By the way, speaking of salty and sweet, that is one of the, if not the best food combinations, in my opinion. Have you ever had, if you like peanut butter ice cream, not peanut butter chocolate, peanut butter ripple ice cream, vanilla bean ice cream with chunks of peanut butter in there, and then you take a pretzel rod and you dip it in there? That shit is damn good. My grandfather and I used to enjoy peanut butter ripple ice cream. We would go out to these, I'm thinking of the one restaurant in particular. I'll say the name, but chances 99.9% chance you're not going to know. I'm not going to say where this is located, but there was a place called Fegley's. Fegley's was a very old restaurant, and we used to go there for certain things as a kid, like chili dogs and little chip beef steak. And but the thing that I really enjoyed going there with my grandparents for was the cup of chicken noodle, cup of soup. And then the chili dogs. Used to be a chili dog guy. Couldn't imagine eating a hot dog now, but as a kid, I definitely ate a lot of hot dogs. It was more of a, I was more of a hamburger guy, cheeseburger really. But anyway, chili dogs and a cup of chicken noodle soup. And then for dessert, what we do is, I think I would get a double dip. That's what you call it, 2 scoops. You call it a dip, double dip of peanut butter ripple ice cream. And then my grandfather would he get a double dip, and he'd ask me to share it with him. I'm pretty sure. I might be getting my dips confused. Maybe he got a single dip. No, he got a double dip. He definitely got a double dip. That man lived a life of moderation. 1 cigar a day, 1 pipe a day, 1 beer a day. I mean, he lived a very, very long life. Anyway, I have no idea how I got on that subject. Sometimes these things just happen in the natural evolution of the conversation. So, anyway, getting back to Bitcoin, the thing that irritates me in the saltiness of this market is when people read and hear what they want to read and what they want to hear. They don't actually read what I'm saying and take it for face value. They don't listen to what I'm saying and take it for face value and not make their own assumptions. They take things and then they hear what they want to hear and they read what they want to read. And then when they're really salty and they've lost money in the market because they bought Bitcoin at $65,000, they come at you. And I see all that, and it's fine. Like you have to have a thick skin in this space. I get it. But what I'm saying to you is there is a valid chart pattern on Bitcoin right now that may play out, okay? I see an inverse head and shoulders that I tweeted about, and the technical target is 40,000. To be quite honest with you, whether this pattern plays out or not, honestly, I give 2 shits less, and I'll tell you why. One of the things it would be exciting, but one of the things that I strongly stress on this channel and within my content is that I am focused on the big picture. Now, I did indicate to you in an earlier podcast that what you can do is you can zoom in on smaller time frames and use it as a leading indicator on larger time frames in terms of trend reversals. Okay, that's what I'm doing here. And so it's exciting. It's exciting to think that Bitcoin this week could break out to $40,000 and above. It would result in a very bullish potential monthly closing candle, which would be great. There would be a little bit more exuberance in the market, a little less fear, a little less pessimism. All those things are great. But the reason I could say, kind of in part, I give 2 shits less whether this pattern plays out or not is because my macro perspective, based on all the education that I've done, is that we have yet to hit our euphoric top. The only thing, I will say this, while I feel absolutely convicted that Bitcoin has not topped, the entire cryptocurrency market has not topped, I will tell you the only piece of uncertainty for me, and that's timing, right? I could be wrong. I've said $30,000 was the floor. And if you want to sit here and you want to get technical with me and say, well, the price actually wicked down to 28,600, so you're wrong. Well, clearly you're missing my point. Yes, technically I was incorrect because price wicked to 28,600. But really, if you're smart enough and intuitive enough and you have common sense and you understand what I'm saying, the $30,000 range that we're in right now is the bottom. I do not see us going to 20,000, entertaining levels down to 20,000, 15, 10,000. No, I don't see any of that bullshit. There's always a probability for it, but I just do not see that happening. So I am more interested in the bigger picture. And the bigger picture to me is that there is going to be a euphoric blow-off top within the fourth quarter of this year. I think it could happen as early as, I said before, mid-October to mid-November, probably more towards mid-November, maybe even December. But it is my strong belief that Bitcoin is going to top within the fourth quarter, and then you'll have alts. Some are laggards like XRP and XLM, and some more closely follow Bitcoin like Litecoin. But your altcoins are going to top in a similar time frame as Bitcoin, and that's because that's my macro perspective view. I don't get too caught up in all this choppy day-to-day bullshit. It's fun to do technical analysis, and it's fun to tweet about these things. And look, technical analysis definitely benefits me. I mean, I was going through my portfolio and I calculated that I increased my position specifically within Mana by 12% just within the past few weeks because I can read charts, just scaled out small amounts, scaled back in as it corrected, and I've increased my position by 12%. I'm very happy with that. So, doing a lot of this technical analysis, even on the shorter time frames, can benefit me. It can benefit you because it can help you to discern what may be logical entry points to get in versus non-logical entry points. But in the grand scheme of things, things are going to be going much, much higher. And speaking of that, when I was home, I was thinking about how I wanted to. I was thinking about how I wanted to share this, so I'll just come out and just be pretty transparent. So while I was home, so this actually had to do with a conversation specifically with my father. So my father is an extremely smart person, and definitely a role model in many ways. And a great, I've been very blessed. I've had all things considered, both my mom and dad have been great role models and great. My mom's laughing as she's hearing this, thinking of all the craziness and insanity in our family. Hey, every family's dysfunctional. Come on, people. When you look at the families that seem the least dysfunctional on the outside, I guarantee you, book it, because you're going to find this in life. If you're young enough and you're naive enough and you don't know this, the families that seem the least dysfunctional on the outside are the ones that are the most dysfunctional in reality. Let me tell you, I am learning that more and more and more. So what I love about my family is it's not hard to tell. We're a little dysfunctional in many ways. But there's a lot of love to go around, and I had a great childhood. So the point is, my father is a super well-educated individual, very smart, And Dad, if you didn't think I thought that way about you, first off, you're crazy, but now you know that. So, but anyway, his experiences, growing up, he, if you think about it, he grew up investing. His perspective as a 60-something-year-old man would be growing up with the stock market, right? And so all this cryptocurrency stuff that I have introduced to my mom and dad, this is brand new stuff, right? And they are placing a lot of trust in me and a lot of the things that I'm helping to educate them on, and I get that. But one of the things that I do kind of behind the scenes here on Twitter is I will direct message both my brother and my father, and I'll share basically the same things I'm sharing with you guys and girls, but on a more intimate level, right? So just reiterating to them what my feeling and sense is on things and what to look for, right? So again, there isn't anything special really outside of what I share with you guys that I share with them. It's just on a more intimate level because it's my family. So, my father, one of the things he said to me, and I definitely respect my father's opinion, believe me. I would say everything. I would say everything my father shares with me, even if we agree or disagree, it doesn't matter. It's healthy to disagree. I think it's very healthy in life to disagree. I very much respect my father's opinion. I do. And one of the things I shared with him was, just wait, because as dark as things seem right now and as pessimistic as things seem right now, I've been saying this throughout, June and July, things are going to turn around pretty quickly. So just buckle up because shit's going to go a lot higher. So what my father said to me was, well, I hope you're right, CBG. But, I don't see Bitcoin going over $100,000 this year. Now, my response to that was pretty hard laughing. Not at my father, not laughing at my father, but at the idea that Bitcoin could not go above $100,000 this year. Again, I want to stress to you, there's a probability for everything. There's a probability that Bitcoin could go to zero, and there's a probability that it could go to $1 billion a coin, both of which have very low probabilities. But my point in illustrating those two examples is there really is a probability for everything. But my father's opinion that it was very unlikely that Bitcoin would go to or exceed $100,000 by this year, it was very unlikely, I found to be funny because this is what it speaks to. It does not speak to the fact that my father is not well educated. My father is an extremely smart individual if you knew his educational background. Very hard worker. I get a lot of my own traits from my father. Okay, he's a very hard worker, very smart guy. It has nothing to do with that. Again, his perspective as a 60-something-year-old man is he's used to the traditional stock markets, right? Cryptocurrency is in the infancy of its generational wealth transfer opportunity as well as destructive nature within technology. We're in the infancy of all this stuff. The market capitalization of the entire cryptocurrency market, let alone Bitcoin, is so small. If you actually start looking at the value of individual stocks, the entire stock market, real estate, gold, oil, energy, you look at the valuation of some of these things, and then you look at the valuation of cryptocurrency and the potential disruptive technology that it provides within various sectors of everyday life and how it might be interwoven without you even realizing it. See, if you have that educational background like I do, then you understand that we are literally, you and I listening to this right now. Well, I'm speaking, actually. I am listening to the sound of my voice. I don't think my voice sounds too bad. It's not, it's a little comforting. What you and I realize is that we are very, very early. We're very, very early. And the other thing that I have in terms of, from an educational standpoint, is I've studied these cycles, I've studied the charts. When you do that, what you realize is the most gains that you're going to make in this market are literally within a matter of a couple weeks when things go euphoric. And we haven't hit that yet. There are technicians whose opinions that I very much respect who know Elliott waves very well. I am not an Elliott wave technician. I have not been studied on Elliott wave structures. It's one of the things I've mentioned. If you've been paying attention, you've been here for a little bit, I've said it's on my to-do list for the year 2022. I want to learn more about Elliott waves and get really good with studying the structure of Elliott waves. They've even drawn out and spoken to the fact that we haven't had our fifth wave yet. Okay, so it's not only me looking at the charts, not having an Elliott Wave foundational technician perspective, but it's also people who have that perspective that are saying the same things, and people who have chart knowledge and experience and wisdom that I very much respect and appreciate hearing from. So what my father is missing, again, has nothing to do with his education level. It has everything to do with his understanding of the cryptocurrency markets. That's all it comes down to. And my understanding of the cryptocurrency markets. And in this aspect, my understanding of the cryptocurrency markets from a technical perspective, as well as a fundamental perspective, far supersede my father's, right? So as much as he thinks it is impossible and we're not going to hit 100,000 or more this year, I would say you are in for not what I would say is a rude awakening because you're invested, but you're about to be shocked. You're about to be shocked like a Shockmaster. You guys know who the Shockmaster is? If not, Google it. Tugboat back in the day, Typhoon, when he came out as a Shockmaster. Holy shit. He fell through a wall, the wall exploded, the helmet fell off, it was a whole thing. You gotta Google the Shockmaster. Even if you didn't grow up watching WCW or WWF, I'm really, based on this commentary, you're starting to sort of pinpoint my age. Even if I look like I'm 28 or 30, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not 28 or 30. But the Shockmaster, go Google it. Anyway, prepare to be shocked by the Shockmaster. Prepare to be shocked by Bitcoin because, again, if you study the charts, you're going to see that in prior cycles, when things go euphoric, they go so euphoric so quickly that if you haven't remained unemotional, and you haven't continued to scale in, realizing the larger picture, you're gonna feel so stupid. You're gonna feel so stupid that you missed out. The narrative in this market can change so quickly. It can change so quickly. So, dear Father, you indicated to me that you would take me out for a very large seafood dinner if Bitcoin went to $100,000 or more this year. My comment to you is... I laughed very hard and then said we're going to go much higher than that. And I'm just going to have to think about when I come home for Christmas where I'd like you to take me. So it's going to be a place of my choice. So ladies and gentlemen, those are my thoughts on the state of the market. By the way, speaking of my thoughts on the state of the market, I thought this would be a good week because, one, I'm back. There was a song, I think, on Ghostbusters 2 about that. I'm digressing too much. I'm sorry if I'm losing you. If you're still hanging in there and you're listening, God bless you. I don't know why you're still listening right now, but thank you for your viewership. By the way, this podcast is brought to you by me, and I'd really appreciate if you would subscribe to the channel, you would like the video, and you drop a comment. You can literally drop me a comment about anything. I don't give two shits what you drop me a comment about because it's going to help the YouTube algorithm. So basically, if you like my content, it's going to reach more people. So just drop me a comment. You can say something negative. You can say something positive. I don't really care. Just drop me a comment, all right? And share it with your friends if you care about their financial future. Anyway, speaking of my view on the market, so what I am planning on doing just to keep you abreast, who came up with that term? I just wanted to keep you abreast of what's going on this week. So what I'm going to do, and I think it's a good week to do it because I'm starting to get the feeling that this could be a very good week for crypto to end July. I'm going to create a new TA video, and I'm going to try and keep it shorter in nature, and it's basically going to be a market status update on Bitcoin, just Bitcoin. So I'm just going to speak to Bitcoin, what I see in the chart. I'll aim to maybe do that, say, Wednesday, Thursday of this week. So that puts us at right about the end of the week, right around the end of the month, I should say, around the 28th or 29th. I'm going to try to aim to do it around there. And then what I'm going to do in short order, I would say the following week, is I'm going to put out another TA video. And that TA video is going to solely focus on, I'm going to just try to make it quick, not as long in nature, but I'm going to put out a video on some quick updates on a lot of altcoins that I frequently tweet about. Things like, actually, I can do it. I haven't been charting XRP for reasons I stated, just because it's not available on buy-sell limit order exchanges. But I could do an update on XRP. I could do an update on XLM, HBAR1, Mana, Matic, Link, Uni, anything that I, Dash, anything that I've tweeted about. So that I tend to tweet about Ethereum. So look for that. I'm seeing some good movement here on Bitcoin and the chart of the week. The chart of the week, without question. The crypto bull god needs to get himself some of this. The chart of the week is ticker symbol QNT. Again, N as in Nancy. If you don't know the Nancy reference, go, I think, 2 episodes back on Nancy having a lot of self-growth about Nancy, and Nancy's feeling good about Nancy. Nancy's friends know Nancy as being Nancy because Nancy is herself. Once Nancy was out of the relationship, Nancy had a lot of self-growth and became a better Nancy. Anyway, QNT Quant. Let me tell you, from a technical perspective, I posted a chart on Saturday morning, Eastern Standard Time, because I'm on Eastern Standard Time in South Florida. The market structure on this thing is beautiful. I think the chart I had tweeted about was the 3-day, or was it the 2-day? I don't know. I think it was a 3-day. Anyway, because I like the 3-day chart. I use a 3-day chart pretty frequently on a lot of crypto charts. Anyway, I was saying, really, the buying opportunity here on Quant has been when we've entertained levels on the 3-day at the 50 simple moving average. For me personally, I tweeted, go check me out on Twitter and the tweet I posted on Quant. But for me personally, what I'm going to be looking for, I am pretty certain that I'm going to reallocate some of my crypto portfolio to be invested in Quant, just based on the TA, just based on the chart. It's beautiful market structure. Since the beginning of the year, right now where price is sitting just shy of $100, we've done, right now where price is at, we've done a 25x. We've done a 25x where prices are sitting right now. So it's had tremendous price appreciation. It's jumped up tremendously within CoinMarketCap in terms of its market cap ranking for all cryptocurrencies. So what I am personally looking for, I'm telling you what I'm looking for. So this is my suggestion if you wanted to scale into Quant. Suggestion number 1, never chase. I've indicated this many, many times. It's the worst thing you can do. I am not buying Quant at $95. I'm not doing it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And if it goes to $500, then I'm wrong and it never pulls back. I'm not chasing a huge green candle. If I go to the daily, we've had 3 straight very bullish green candles. I'm waiting for a pullback. So if I wanted to get into an entry here, I'm looking at the 3-day. I would actually, based on the market structure here and what I'm looking at, I'd look at something that would pull back more towards the 20 simple moving average on a 3-day chart. Now, when the new candle prints, that 20 SMA is going to be closer to like $70. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep an eye on Quant, and I'm going to see, I'm not going to see. I think it's very likely that price is going to pull back into the $70 range. So once we get back into the $70 range, I'm going to begin to scale into Quant more than likely, because the technical analysis on this thing, it has such beautiful market structure. What I also need to do, I like to do this, I've invested or bought coins before where I didn't really know a lot about the fundamentals, and it was more about beautiful market structure because I'm a technician first. But especially depending how heavily weighted I am invested, I would never, well, I should say this. I would never heavily invest in something unless I understood the fundamentals as well. I wouldn't do it just based on technicals. So I'm kind of curious. I've seen a lot of people tweet about quant. I need to read up on the fundamentals and see if this is something that would really be worth allocating a stronger position in my portfolio for. But hey, the chart of the week is quant. It's had tremendous bullish upside the entire year. It's done roughly a 25x since the beginning of the year based on current price action. It looks like the all-time high is at 106. So this thing is going to go a lot higher. You know, the other thing I real quick want to stress before we get to Twitter questions, the other thing I want you guys to intuitively think about, I try to do this pretty frequently, is I try to ask questions and make statements that get you to think about just big picture, intuitive, thoughtful points, you know, and don't get lost in all the intricacies and details of things. So let me ask you this question. So my question is, if my belief, okay, Bitcoin topped at roughly $65,000, okay, and my current belief, okay, is that we're going to have a euphoric blow-off top in the fourth quarter of this year, okay? And that blow-off top will be somewhere around 3 to 4 times its prior all-time high of 65,000. So where would that put us? Well, 65 times 3 is 195. 65 times 4 is 260. So I think it's very reasonable. Let's just pick the midpoint. That's what I do as an actuary quite often. When I have two numbers, I just simply pick the midpoint. There's no science to it, and it often works out really well. Let's say that Bitcoin, okay, let's say that I'm correct. Let's just say for the moment that I'm correct. Let's say that Bitcoin has a euphoric blow-off top, and it is 3.5x times its prior all-time high, its historic all-time high of $65,000. Okay, what do you think your altcoins are going to do? I mean, really. As you begin to work your way down the market capitalization list and you get into smaller market caps and you intermingle that with the fact that you want to focus on projects that have real use case, have narratives behind them, have a strong backing, a strong community, you're going to see price multiples that far exceed a 3.5x of its original all-time high. Let me give you an example. Let's look at something like XLM. Let me pull up a chart here. XLM, I don't know what it is on, well, let me take a look. XLM right now is it's definitely dropped. It's number 19, okay? So it's within the top 20. XLM essentially reached its prior all-time high. It depends what exchange you looked on, but to me it looks like there's a huge cup and handle forming. But for this year, if I look at Binance, its high this year was, 80, let's just round up, 81 cents. Okay, 81 cents. So if Bitcoin is going to do a 3.5x of its prior all-time high, and XLM, which is many, many spots below at number 19, it has been here for a while. This is one that was here in the prior cycle. Don't you think something more reasonable would be a 5x, maybe a 10x, or maybe more? So maybe, just based on that logic that I'm presenting to you, that smaller market cap cryptocurrency project that has real world use case, there's been headlines out about it and information about how it's being used and how it might be being used. It's been a project that's been here for a longer term. Don't you think it's reasonable to assume that the price multiple will be higher than a 3.5x? A 5x would put it at $4. A 10x would put it at $8. And by the way, I'm on record for saying, and it pained me to restate the XRP all-time high that I see coming this year. I'll create a video about it. But I do see an XRP and XLM USD top being very similar. So it wouldn't surprise me to see XLM top out somewhere near $10 and XRP to top out somewhere near $10. That wouldn't surprise me one bit. Take a look at one more that I tweet about very frequently. Take a look at HBAR. HBAR's all-time high, 46 cents. Now, this is currently a market capitalization that's at rank 53. Okay. So Bitcoin's going to do a 3.5x. That's what I'm saying. Don't you think it's logical to assume that a market capitalization that is that much lower at 53 has a lot of players in the game within its council, has a lot of real-world use, has a strong community backing, the H-Barbarians, me being one of them. I'm a significant holder. I'll just leave it at that. Don't you think it's reasonable to assume, based on prior cycles and looking at price multiples and how the alts fare, market capitalization and narrative and use case relative to Bitcoin, don't you think it's fair to assume that HBAR could do a 10x, a 15x? Oh, Christ, a 20x? So could HBAR go, almost $5, $4 in some sense, $4.60, $5, all the way up to maybe close to 10? Don't you think that's reasonable to assume? I do. And if we hit $9 this year, by the way, H-Barbarians, if we hit $9 this year, I am getting that tattoo. I don't have any tattoos, and I'm very serious about that. So these are the perspectives it's important to keep in mind. Let's not get sidetracked by the emotion of corrections. This is bearish price action. I agree, it's bearish price action, what we've been experiencing, and it's consolidation and correction within the overall macro perspective structure of a bull market and bull cycle. Don't lose that perspective. Now, let's close things out. I see this podcast is over 40 minutes. Dear Lord, how have you been listening this long? If you have, you're a true fan. Wow, Quant is getting closer and closer to $100. Definitely waiting for that pullback. I am not chasing that. Let's get into Twitter questions. Let me see here. Okay, so I know right off the bat, there was a question here I really like. I like getting off the topic of crypto, actually, and talking about something else. Let me read you the question, and then I will respond. I love this question that was asked. How about a small segment on how you would motivate yourself to be in the shape you are physically, and if you ever have to overcome mental blocks when it comes to training? I'm in a rut with training. Would love to hear the opinion of someone who seems to just make it look easy. Well, first off, my friend, thank you for the compliment. I'm glad that, I don't know if I'm glad I make it look easy, but it's not easy. You know what? What I would say is this. We're all built differently. As human beings, we're all built differently. Different things motivate different people. One of the things that has been a strong suit of mine, and one thing that has benefited me all my life, is that I do tend to be a very, by nature, hardworking, driven individual. It's just who I am. We all have a lot of things that are very desirable perception-wise about ourselves, and things that are less desirable about ourselves perception-wise, and depending who you're with, right, in a relationship. Well, one of the things that I think is my strong suit is I'm just a very hardworking, consistent, persevering person. It's just how I am, So I'm trying to think about how to best answer your question, because for me, I have literally since the age of 14 consistently weight trained. I've never had a long period or a long time off. I've never been someone who was like, yeah, I've been working out since 14, but I took a long break there for a while. No. I've literally consistently with no extended breaks been working out since the age of 14. Workout programs have evolved, but never stopped. So what I would say to you is this. Because I can still relate to you to being in mental blocks and going through something that's challenging and having goals in your mind for yourself, and you're just finding it hard to get there, right? What I would say to you is, number one, I would say don't overwhelm yourself. I'm a very goal-oriented person. So create some small, shorter term, reasonable goals for yourself. Start there. I always tell people that, when you work out, a day turns into a week, turns into a month, turns into a year, turns into a lifestyle. Do you follow what I'm saying there? The hardest thing to do is to get the snowball moving down the hill to gain momentum. Once you gain momentum, it's like a freight train, man. You can't stop it. But there's always going to be hurdles in life. When you're rolling down that hill, there's always going to be obstacles, and you kind of have to navigate it. And it's tough. I mean, the other best suggestion I could give to you, the other thing I could say is you want to make sure that the foundation upon which you're building your workout program on is something that is sustainable for the long term. It has to be sustainable for the long term. It's one of the biggest reasons that diets, certain diets fail, is because they might work in the short term, but they don't work in the long term. I've seen a lot of people do fitness competitions or physique competitions, and it's never been my thing. I've never done one. I've never had a desire to do one. And that's not hate on anyone that's done it. It's individualistic. It's your own personal preference. But I've seen a lot of people struggle with that because what they do is they put their body through such torture and such extreme dieting. And then when they're done with it, they binge on food, and they're never the same. They gain weight. They struggle with that. I was with someone who kind of went through that and saw that. And so what works for me, again, what works for you might be different for me, but what works for me is it took me a long time to get here. But I eat what I feel is a very balanced diet, and I enjoy myself. I drink. If I go out, if I'm out with my girlfriend or on a date or whatnot, and, we'd like to enjoy a dessert, I enjoy a dessert. I don't feel guilty about it. I'm more salty than sweet, so if I feel like having French fries or fried chicken, I'm having French fries and fried chicken. But I don't do it a lot, and it's in moderation. Getting to that point is so difficult. So getting to the point where you have a mental block, and working out, that's tough. It's challenging. You have to find something that motivates you. The reality is you are no different than me. I'm not any different than you. We're different people. Like, I'm not more special than you. You're not more special than me. We are what we make of ourselves, okay? So you are capable of in my opinion, this is how I view life. You are capable of many of the same things I do. I am capable of many of the same things that you do. It's all about having a structure and formation in your life that allows a higher success for that, right? So you have to find a way to make it work, man. Whatever's going on in your life, you got a mental block. Maybe there's stressors in your life. Maybe there's a way to filter out those stressors. Maybe it's hard to make time for it. And it's a challenge. And I can't relate to certain things with that. But it also, what I look at is it's an excuse. It's an excuse because there's a way you can find time. There's a way. No matter how little time you have, there's a way. So it's having the mental fortitude. Where there's a will, there's a way. You got to make time for it and recognize. You have to recognize that you are capable you are capable in life as much as the next person and more. It's a mentality thing. And you got to take steps. Again, a day turns into a week, turns into a month, turns into a year, turns into a lifestyle. And when you get to the lifestyle part, you're like, how the hell did my life ever go the way before it did? How was my life operating the way it did a couple years ago? I couldn't imagine not getting up every morning and working out for an hour or whatever you want to do, So it's all about having that mental mindset that you are capable. You are completely capable of doing what anyone else can do and more. There's no reason. You have one life here and you want to maximize that potential. So if you need any more direction, you need any more help, feel free to DM me. But I hope that's helpful. There was one other specific question on here. There weren't a lot of questions this week. Okay. So this isn't uncommon. So really the question is surrounding alts. Give me some hope because for the love of God, things have corrected 70%. So I'd say two things to you. First off, thank you for asking the question. It's a great question. A lot of people are feeling your pain. There was a chart. The first thing I would post to you, this podcast is going very long. Again, if you stayed with me, bless your soul. Thank you. There was a chart that I posted out a couple weeks ago that basically showed in the prior bull cycle in 2017, Ethereum corrected something like 70%. And we all know how much higher Ethereum went after that 70% correction. It went up to what, $1,500? So, seeing your altcoins correct 60% or 70% is not uncommon from studying prior chart patterns, prior cycles. So what I would say to you is if you were paying attention at the top of my podcast, my own personal view based on my self-education is that Bitcoin will top in the fourth quarter of this year, and altcoins will follow right around that similar time frame, a little, right around at the same time, a little after. Some are more laggards, like I said, XRP, XLM, but that's my quote unquote hope for you for alts. Let me say one more thing to you. And I kind of said this at some point during the podcast. The worst case, I've said this so many times, the worst case scenario to me is that Bitcoin corrects lower than what I think the 30,000 area is not the floor. And this bull market extends into the first half of 2021. First half of 2022. What other thing can you invest in? And this is just my viewpoint, okay? I just have all this knowledge and sometimes it's hard to get out. What other market can you invest in where, based on the fundamental knowledge I've gained and the technical knowledge I've gained, you feel 99.9% sure that we're going to go so much fucking higher, and the only question in your mind is timing. Like, you literally know generational wealth transfer is around the corner, and while you're convicted it's in the fourth quarter of this year that things will top, you could be wrong, but it's not wrong. It's not that you're wrong that things will top. This is the point I'm trying to make. It's not that you're wrong that the market isn't going tremendously higher. It's just, okay, so you were wrong on timing. So it was like, 3 months later or 6 months later. Well, what the fuck? I mean, what other opportunities in life will you have where you feel that convicted that you can make this much money for financial freedom? So just have some patience. And if you really do feel stressed, and I was joking around with you replying to your tweets, if you really feel stressed, you need to get a little bit more educated. I very much appreciate that you value my opinions. But if you're feeling nervous, take whatever time you can to educate yourself, because that self-education, it's the strongest tool you can have in your toolbox to feel convicted on the overall direction of your investments in this space. And I see you have a little one, so my guess is, and I don't, so my guess is your time's a little more limited. So congratulations. It looks like your son there was pretty new. So congratulations if that happened recently or if that's a recent photo. But take as much time as you can. Take as much time as you can to self-educate yourself, because that's why I feel as convicted as I do. It's all self-education. That's the reason I haven't gotten stressed out, and I had people texting me and DMing me all stressed out over these corrections, and it's a clear indication their education level isn't where it needs to be invested in the market. You know what? So I don't really have too much else to share. So we all know how we're going to close this thing out. In closing, please join me in a moment of silence for all of those like Mini Schiff I attempted on multiple occasions. I haven't brought his name up in a while. I haven't seen him in a bit. Got to get together with him soon. I'm trying, but, this life thing gets busy. To get into crypto and have remained ignorant. Gracias.